Greetings lords and ladies, and welcome to the Westeros vibe, where squishers have needs just like everybody else. Our first story of the week is Game of Thrones finally conquers the Emmys with record-breaking wins. Game of Thrones has raked in the Emmys and we couldn't be happier. It won Best Outstanding Directing for a Drama Series for Mother's Mercy. Another episode, Unbound, Unbent, Unbroken, was also nominated, but to my dismay, as it is the worst of the season. Outstanding Drama Series, Peter Dinklage for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series, Outstanding Sound Editing for a Series for Hard Home, which should have won for Best Directing too, and Outstanding Writing for a Drama Series, also for Mother's Mercy. Apparently this made Emmy history, along with the smallest audience ever. All in all, a pretty interesting Emmy selection. Moving on to, now Maisie Williams is claiming Kit Harington's Jon Snow spoiler was fabricated. On the red carpet at the Emmys, our little future queen of 9gag teased the public with the revelation that Jon Snow is actually dead, and will remain dead, and that the leaks are bogus. Also, she alluded to Arya fighting blind in Season 6, something we could have figured out already from the Season 5 ending. Onwards with, Game of Thrones creator George R. Martin confirms Jon Snow is alive, kind of. This article is based around something which could very well be a joke. As Andy Samberg was sitting next to George R. Martin, he said, "Happy birthday George, and thanks for telling me during the commercial that Jon Snow is alive." After which David Benioff shook his head. That is all the information this article is going with. I don't believe George told the Lonely Island alumni anything about Jon Snow, and David's headshake could mean anything from "yeah, everyone knows now" to "oh man, these guys are going to be so surprised when Season 6 comes round." This next story is a more general one. Even though it is not show related, it is interesting. George R. Martin on how he comes up with character names. This article contains a video with one of his interviews, in which he briefly explains the problem with names in fantasy in general, and then continues with his approach, which is more realistic and well thought out. Even though it is a year old, it is worth watching. Next up we have how the Game of Thrones showrunners feel about offending people. Let's start off with their quote. "We never set out to offend anyone. To try to offend anyone would be juvenile, but to be afraid to offend people would be cowardly. There were people saying they were never going to watch again. We're just trying to tell the story the best we can. This means a lot. It's a very nice feeling." The article mentions a couple of offending elements, namely Sansa's rape and the stabbing of the pregnant Talisa. While these are shocking scenes, the first one was bound to happen when Sansa was given the story of Jane Poole from the books, and the second was predictable because of her presence at the Red Wedding. It was inevitable. The truly offensive things are decisions which ruin the characters from the books. For example, Loras isn't the kind of person who would spill out his family's plans to the first bettable pretty face he sees. Catelyn isn't the kind of person who would choose vengeance over peace so that her remaining children could live. The Sand Snakes of the books are awesome, the show ones abominations. And I'm not criticizing the actresses, who I'm sure are good. The material written for them was weak and completely untrue to the characters of the books. There are things you ought to be offended by. Wonderful creations of George's who have been despoiled because of convenience, incompetence, or something else. In other news, will BBC Troy drama lead to the fall of Game of Thrones? BBC hopes to rival hit show with £2 million an episode drama about Siege as it unveils upcoming series. No. Okay, let's start from the top. Game of Thrones is successful because it challenges people. Also, it has a lot of violence, shocking moments, and nudity. And these are some nice performances during which people swear a lot, thus making the dialogue a tad more realistic. Now, on the other hand, we have the BBC, a network so politically correct that they sacked Jeremy Clarkson for punching a guy. and they want to make a £2 million per episode show about one of the greatest stories of the ancient world, perhaps the best, and they want to take risks, which probably means that from time to time someone will say an uncensored naughty word, and we'll get to see some blood. I would love to see a proper, modern-day series based on the events of Troy, which won't be ruined by Hollywood. I'm looking at you, Brad Pitt and Orlando Bloom, which is realistic, epic in scope, and features intrigue and politics. The BBC are, or at least were, good at adapting books or plays in TV format and making a quality product. However, they do not have the necessary commitment or the steel balls to make something that could compare with Game of Thrones or with any of the HBO classics. Perfect shows such as The Sopranos, The Wire, or Rome. We might end up with a thumping good series, which will be worth watching thanks to the acting and dialogue. However, it probably won't hold a candle in popularity or overall quality to the giant that is Game of Thrones. I could be wrong, but I probably won't be. Moving on, we have spoilers, so watch yourselves. A Stark may return for vengeance. Could it be Jon Snow? More news out of Ireland, as sources close to production have been dropping hints of a climactic battle at Winterfell, where Stark will get his vengeance. Along with a few interesting pictures, the article mentions that Benjen Stark will make his comeback with a vengeance. This would be a gigantic reveal, thus we should take this information with more than a grain of salt. Next up, we have a Game of Thrones style intro for World of Warcraft. For those of you who are into this game or just want to see something cool, check it out. More spoilers up ahead in this next story. Game of Thrones Season 6 will probably include Riverrun. Pictures have been posted online of a set being built that appears to be the main gate of Riverrun, the watery stronghold of House Tully. As book readers know, in A Feast for Crows, Jaime's story takes him to this castle, where he has the job of seizing it for the crown, as the Blackfish remains defiant within. Along the way, he meets a few choice characters, from Gatehouse Emmy to Strongbow to his aunt Jenna Lannister. For me, this was the most enjoyable part of that particular book, alongside the Dornish plotline and Sam's last chapter. Hopefully they will do it justice and throw in Walder Frey and his potential death while they're at it. Spoilers abound in this story as well. You know what to do. Leaked pictures revealed Daenerys' fate. Pictures have surfaced which showed what Dani will be up to in Season 6. Apparently she will become Khaleesi yet again, as the pictures show her at the head of a Dothraki force. We also see some of the set pieces, like tents, objects, and the reedy lake. Links to the pictures are in the news story. Spoilers yet again in this next story. Kit Harington spotted filming Game of Thrones on set in Belfast, suggesting Jon Snow may be very much alive. A picture which shows Kit Harington in full Stark gear has been revealed, apparently confirming what many have believed ever since last season's finale, that Jon Snow is not gone for good. Next to him inside the tent is a person who appears to be Karis von Houten, aka Melisandre, which may also confirm the way Jon will escape his doom. As for videos, we have only one this week. Preston Jacobs has released a video about the Myrcella vow, in which he explores the possibility that the whole Dor narrative pertaining to her is not as it seems. That is the news for the week ending on September 27th. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share, comment and subscribe. And stay tuned. Goodbye.